Away from the Citadel podcast, hosted by Charlie Fawcett and Luke Helliwell.
Hello and welcome to Away from the Citadel. Once again, I'm joined by Charlie. How are you doing today, Charlie?
I'm all right, Luke. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. And we're joined by a special guest today, the Farsley Celtic manager, David Stockdale. David, how are we doing?
I'm all right. I won't say special, but it was nice of you getting in touch.
Special it was, yeah. First of all, I just want to ask you, you're now the manager of Farsley Celtic. How are you finding the job overall?
Very tough, but I knew that. So it's nothing where I'm scared of. I think the line was, can you handle, there was an expletive in there, but taking the pressure. And I was like, I'm a master at that. That's what I do. Some people look at it as like poison chalice. You know, some coaches and up-and-comers won't want to take it because it's looking like relegation, but I don't care.
No. So we are going to speak about Farsley Celtic. We're just going to have a couple of questions on your playing career first. Obviously, you had a magnificent career. I just want to know, first of all, what were your journey to becoming a professional footballer?
Long. Just as long as it felt as long as the actual career.
Yeah.
So it started at Huddersfield Town at 12 and getting released at 14. Back in them days, they weren't really email, so my dad was writing off the clubs while I was at a number of clubs. Alton Owls, I don't think they're there anymore.
No,
Rothwell Juniors.
No.
Rothwell Juniors are still there next to at the West Riding.
Yeah.
It used to be Rothwell Town as well. And I got lucky, really, York City, and then got an apprenticeship. And I thought it was just going to be basically college, like the BTEC lessons now. It was NVQ level 3 back then. And you're doing things like that, just basically playing football, not thinking of it. First pro contract, and it was tough times there. We were struggling financially at York. So we was the YTS lads or apprenticeships or youth team players, you all going round Kit Kat Crescent with the buckets. So I've been in that situation where you're not getting paid and you're helping a club. So you just look back on those times, and then got released from York and then picked up by Darlington, and then 2 seasons later bought by Fulham, and it goes from there. So I can't go through the whole 25 years, but that was the condensed version.
So you said you've got a 25-year-long career, but if you were to pick one moment in that career, what is your highlight?
There was so many. Like, it's unfair, and because they're quite close, there's a lot. But I'd say getting in the squad for England, like you can play you can play 30 years and not do that. So I don't. People kind of forget, and I don't really mention it, but that's the one where you always come back to, and there's no better feeling than getting a chance to represent your country. And I got sat on a bench, and that's as far as I got, and I'm buzzing with that.
Yeah, we're going to touch on that. Obviously, you got called up by Fabio Capello. What was that feeling like when you got the call?
Well, I was actually in the preliminary squad, so there's like a 30-man squad that goes out to your clubs a couple of times before, and I didn't know what the procedure was. Do they call you? And basically about 10 minutes before they actually announce it on air, so when you see it on Sky Sports News, 10 minutes before you get a text, and it's really weird. If you don't get the text, you're not in it, so you're like looking at your watch. So the first 3 or 4 times I didn't get the text, and I remember driving home from a club event at Fulham, and I was driving up, stopped at a satellite, so my phone went, and I didn't really realise the time. And I think because of the rejections before, you don't think about it. And it was a number I didn't recognise, and it was the Secretary of England, and it basically said, bring your passport. Like, they had your details from the preliminary, but it's bring your passport. This is what you'll have. This is what you need to bring.
Well, that is crazy. Obviously, everyone in this room would dream to do play for England. Charlie's got a few questions. We're going to be on Farsley Celtic now, and Charlie's got a few questions about that.
Yeah, so obviously you've had a long and impressive playing career, but going into your time as a manager and obviously getting that going, what we want to know is, well, you've obviously players finish and they'll go on to lots of different angles. What made you want to choose management following your retirement last season?
Well, this is a funny one for you. I didn't, to be honest.
Right.
So I'm on my diploma, 75% masters with the PFA Business School for sporting directorship. So that finishes in July. So hopefully I got one more module, dissertation time, and then get that. So that was kind of the back. And that's why I went to York City with the head of recruitment, trying to do that side. And because I was straight out of football, I didn't announce a retirement because I'm not too bothered about people saying well done. Went straight into that. So you don't really think about it. When I left York, I got a chance at Blythe, assistant manager. Then you realise that the buzz of football comes back. And when I lost that and I was sat not doing anything, that's what retired footballers lose. And it's that buzz. It's not always playing, it's being about it, being involved. And over Christmas, I was like, oh, and my wife says, you better get into football. She didn't want it because it was like 25 years of getting told where to be, what to do, and a fixture list sorted your whole family schedule out. But she could see it in my eyes, and it was like, no, you need something. So this came up. I actually went in for the job before Neil.
Did you?
Yeah, and they'd already kind of sorted Neil out. So they said I was second, and then it must have been because straight away I got a call about this.
Yeah. So more into that. Is that how the Farsley job came about? Is that you just applied for it when it came up? Is that essentially how it happened?
Yeah, I think in football it's not as regimented as a normal job interview. It will be the higher up you go, but I think you just have to keep an eye out on jobs. And there's a couple of jobs that I'd gone in for, Hednesford, but a lot of them were saying, look, travels a lot. Mind you, I was doing two and a bit hours to Blythe. So yeah, I sent an email, CV, just a bit about myself and obviously from the area. So, but they'd already kind of, that's what happens in non-league. They know kind of what's next.
Right.
Whereas a Premier League club, they might know what's next, but they might get offers from other people and agents and things like that.
Yeah. So obviously you've been at Blythe Spartans in the past. The way you had your team set up at Blythe, how are you looking to bring in that style to Farsley? Obviously it's a very young squad, but how are you looking to have them playing?
It's very different. Blythe had a core of really experienced players in step 3, and they'd been coached at higher levels, so this is not detrimental for the people that I have now, but it was easier to get in what I was trying to do. And a couple of comments when I was at Blythe that we were the best football team that played so far and things like that. I want to play football, but you have to play with the strengths of your whole team, not with individuals. So as you'll see now, we're a young team, we're learning. So I'm not going to make them do something that they're not comfortable, or at the minute, the confidence is literally, it's not even rock bottom, it's below that.
And you can completely understand that, can't you?
And it's my job. When I said I came in, when they gave me the control, I said, look, I'm kind of taking results out of it. I'm talking to a team of performers. And when you bring in 13 of your ETS system through, I have to show what's coming through. Sometimes that's not open football, or we have to really get into the tactics of basically park the bus. And what my phrase is, stay in the game. And we perfectly did it at Chester.
Yeah.
Yes, we were under the cosh, but they stuck to the plan and they stuck in the game. Like I said, injury time, we're going to go for it. So I stuck 3 up front. If they score, they score. Similar to Southport a little bit, but they understood that. And the only one way you go, oh, wow, is Kidderminster.
Yeah. Very
good team. Very full-time. Look, let's take nothing about it, but we became to be a bit like, we followed them rather than, no, this is our discipline. We play our game. You have to get round us. We went back to that second half. They still scored 2, but you never know in the first half if you don't concede. And it's not about parking the bus. It's about, for me, it's about the legitimacy of the league. We have to be competitive. And if that's the way we're going to do it, we might not like it, but it's the best way for my team to try and get a result. If we went a little bit gung-ho, as you see, we didn't go gung-ho the first half. We actually just came out of pockets. They rotated very well. And you just have to go with what's best for your team and club, not what people think or want to do as individuals. So it's learning. And the way I'm emotional intelligence manager. I'm not saying I'm the best coach in the world. I can see things, but if you can get lads to run, jump, mark, be disciplined, that's, I think Chester Manager said that's 70% of football.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of him, to be honest.
Yeah. And you mentioned the attributes that you want and that you've got a team of performers. Is there any performers in there that in particular have really impressed you that you think could have a high ceiling in the future?
There's quite a few. I think my assistant said we'd made maybe 5 full debuts in the time, maybe 6 now with Luke coming in. The one that caught me by surprise, because he was very much, he'll do a job. Tyler Polworth. He's one where I go, he doesn't listen. Not listen as in he's not listening to you. He's so away with the fairies in his own world that you'll be shouting him and he'll go, "Did you shout me?"
Oh, really?
Lovely kid. They're all lovely kids. But he was one that really impressed me. He took to it straight away. Tom Priestley standing. He's technically very good, but still learning. He wants to play football, like it. But Ashton, I've thrown him in a number of times due to injuries or whatever, and he just stands strong. And it's like, okay, and that's what I say to him. It's not sink or swim. It's just swim, mate. Yeah. Like, you're not going to sink if you keep swimming. And these are the types of cliches that I actually use to them, because to them, they don't want to be told, though. I did raise my voice at half time, but somebody, the kit lady Megan, she said, "Oh, that's Stocky shouting." And that's the point of it. It's like being able to express your feelings the right way to young kids and know that the manager's got the back. And I say to him, I'll never say anything outside this change room. I'm trying to improve you. Forget about the situation. That's not your fault. So we just concentrate on improving game by game.
Yeah. So I presume the expectations for the team this season, is it just trying to survive in the league, or is it literally just trying to improve the players that you've currently got in the squad?
I expressed that I didn't want, with the situation, I didn't want expectations put on anybody. And that was a imperative for me taking the role. Because if you start doing that, you're on a loser already.
Yeah.
Because if you've seen things have happened that even the board didn't know, that we'd have to make sure we made sure the club's debt was consolidated and let some lads go. If you start telling the board that you're going to try and stay up and things like that, you're not only risking the club's future with, I want £300 for this player, but you're also putting those young lads under unnecessary stress. When you try to get them to a game with the least stress you can, to let them just go out and say, I'll take the flak, lads. You just play how I've asked you to play. If not, then it's my fault and we change it. And that's what happened the first half. I said, you're not doing what's best for you. Whether we like it or not, whether I want to play like that, it's shown over the past few games that we've improved with it. And the second half showed that as well. We stuck in, but yeah, there's no expectations. The board have been really good. They was transparent and everything. There's been no shocks, if you know what I mean. So I knew these things were coming. And I said to the lads yesterday, like, get your heads up. There's another 10. Like, who knows?
Yeah. So do you think this has helped to improve the feeling in the group? Because if you've told them, there's no pressure, do what's best for you, do you think that's helped to just, even if it's slightly, but do you think it's boosted morale better than maybe the previous managers?
I can't comment on that on previous managers, but there's people have come up to me and said because it was such a young group, they kept themselves to themselves. It's so quiet in there, so quiet. I'm actually cracking dad jokes to try and get a smile, and that's a feeling of like homeliness and what I call it the safe zone. I get them to express like the final third. I haven't really, because we haven't done any training. I ain't given them any things. I was like, if you want to shoot, shoot. If you want to cross. Like, it's not good in the grand scheme of things because the striker's probably thinking, is he going to cross it? Is he going to shoot? But the point is like, there's no pressure. Someone shoots and you go, yeah, well done. Someone crosses it, unlucky. And then if you had more time and things like that, and there was no outside noise of like, oh, we're losing again, and we were doing more training, that's when you can bring them things. You see that cross that you did? Right, so do that every time. Then you say to the striker, just get in the box. If you don't cross it, now you can tell him off, because I've asked him to cross it every time.
Yeah.
It leads on to good habits.
Right.
Usually you get a pre-season to be able to do that in games and stuff, and then you analyze on a TV and say, look, here, this is what I'm talking about. And then things click in people's brains, and the repetition in training, it then becomes and the nice thing then as a coaching staff or people, like when you see it next year, hopefully, someone will cross it, they'll score a header, and you go, he's told him to cross and get it box there. Things like that are things that you'll see, and it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just how you deal with humans. I believe the best manager I've had have dealt with the human first. I can teach you football because you're good enough, but can you learn to trust me what I'm saying?
Right. Well, we've got some questions more about like the club in general now, and if you want to get us underway with those, Luke.
Yeah, so obviously you touch on the young squad you've got, and nothing gets young players going more than a crowd, but unfortunately you're not being able to play at home. What is it like having to play so far away from home?
I kind of use the fact that they don't get many ETS games. It's more about, like I was saying, a lot of people would give a lot to play at this level, at that age. So go out and do the best for you. So I talk to them as individuals. So they're sat in a group, but I also, everyone's got their own agenda. And when we say agenda, it's not the old cliche, oh, I've got an agenda to do something what you're not involved in. You want to be a better footballer. That's an agenda. Whether you want to go and play a level up, or can you do that if you put poor showing on and people are watching?
No.
So that's my thing. People are always going to come and watch, but you could have 50,000 people watching, fans, and no scouts from other clubs, or you could have 7 people watching, fans, 3 scouts sitting there. You never knew who's watching, and that went through my whole career.
Right.
So obviously we know about the pitch issues. Aiming to sort it out somewhere. I know it's a tricky question, but what happens if the pitch can't get sorted? Will they be playing games we played at Buxton yet again?
So, factual as I know it, if you can't get a pitch sorted or an agreement with the league, then I think you go out the league system.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on.
I'm pretty sure I have heard that. Yeah.
There is conversations with the league and the Football Foundation, so they're well aware of the situation. Obviously, it's been like it all season, so I think we've got some fairly strong mitigating circumstances. Believe it or not, I read a lot on Facebook. I'm very much a social media reader. The hard work that's been put in the time I've been here by the individuals is second to none, especially with full-time jobs. People don't see people putting their own money in. I won't mention names because they won't like it, but there's a lot of those that have invested in the club without even knowing what's going to happen. And that's for a love of the club. And another reason why I will stay strong. And there's people saying, well, why would a manager do that? Why would you do that? Firstly, it's my closest club where I live, where I'm from, in Armley. I think it's closer than Ellen Road. So it's one of them where I've always known about Farsley Celtic. Friends have played for Farsley Celtic. So that was another reason. It was for me to get back involved in football. But if I can help these kids, they need a stable figure as a manager to get through this time. I said, I'll give you as much time as you need for the club to be able to try and sort it off field. I will take that all off your shoulders. Don't worry about that. You concentrate on the thing. So going back to it, that's as far as I know. We are in conversation with the relevant authorities. They're aware. So it's not like we're panicking thinking there's an end date. There is technically, but with what's happened and the changeover in Hansa Club, we've managed to get in touch with them straight away.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed that there are, say, A and a B plan. There's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's whether which one falls into place and in line with the league.
Yeah, so touch on that. Behind the scenes and those running the club at the minute, obviously, said are working really hard. What at the minute is most vital for the club to survive?
A pitch. I think you'll find money. I know it's very hard and people say, but I think things that have happened before, lack of sponsorship, playing at home, you don't have any bar revenue, you don't have things like that. So if you have a pitch and you can play at home next season in step 3 or 2, whichever it may be, you've got instant income as such. Pre-season games, things like that, you can start to budget what you might bring in over a bar over past seasons and then put it into a budget for this season. So for me, it's pitch.
Yeah, so obviously with the pitch, would sorting that out play a big part in play a big part in trying to progress the football club.
That's the key to everything, and not to mention the emotional. I put it into context the other day. When we was in COVID and you didn't see anyone, and you got into that mental state of not socializing. Some people only go to the football to socialize.
Yeah.
Some people love the football club for what it gives them socially. So think about all those people that have gone through years. Some fans sit on the coach. Sometimes I told them that they could get on the coach down to Buxton with the first team. And you talk to people who've supported since the 60s. There's people that run the club shop free. They've got every badge under the sun. They've got old kits. Imagine that feeling.
Oh no.
So, and they've been through this before, and they're still there. And it's like they're the kind of people that you go, yeah, come on, let's get our act together.
Yeah, you got to tip your hats for them. Charlie's got a few questions just to finish off.
Yeah, so talking about being the fan of a football club, obviously, I can't imagine how the Farsley fans feel. But as a Leeds fan myself, I'd just like to quickly touch on, in terms of this season, do you think automatic promotion's pretty much there now?
It's bad to say that to a footballer, but yeah, now I'm out of it. I can say it. Yeah, if it doesn't, there's
got to be questions asked, haven't there?
Yeah, I'm going to touch
Disappointed.
Yeah, like I was disappointed by the West Brom game because you come through 2 difficult fixtures like that. But it's football. I've been there. I understand it. It's an all different pressure.
Well, yeah, that's sort of what I thought. When you've had such a high intensity games for the last 2, I think you can forgive dropping points there. But yeah, so just wondering, do you see Farsley Celtic as a long-term home for you? Like, are you enjoying yourself so far? And do you think it could be something that you stay and commit to long-term?
I am. I said I wanted to set a culture, and luckily I've got a good reputation of a good person in football and go places and set cultures and be a good person. Especially when I got older, I was like the granddad of the group and that kind of thing. So it was very much about, I set the thing of saying smiling's contagious. So you always have to show up with a smile.
Yeah.
On time with a smile. You're early and you're smiling. Like, what have you got? People say, you'll get it. Start smiling and people go, what are you smiling at?
Got me smiling right now.
See what I mean? And this is the type of thing I have with players and then I see directors that are coming in, like, because they've been at it so much. I go, I'm just might have a day off from Farsley Celtic tomorrow because I haven't seen my family. So I'll smile and go, have a day off then. Because it's that when you're emotionally in it so much, people get down and they wait for it to come good to smile. Smile on the journey. Because you probably cry on the journey or I'll be upset on the journey. Why can't you smile? So I'm very much that type of person, the jokey type of person until it comes to game time. But other than that, like in interviews after, I'm smiling with the media people and they go, just got beat 6-0. Yeah. No one's died. We take it for granted, football, because it is life. And it's been my life. But there's very much I've seen where I've been in it and then you step out of it and go, oh my God, because the world keeps going on. Leeds drew. You still everyone have to go to work.
Oh yeah, I mean, I recovered from it pretty well.
So we're all sat here laughing just because smiling is contagious and body language and things like that. And this is what I'm teaching these young lads life lessons as well. If they can smile through these type of times, I said, imagine how you're going to feel when you're actually doing something where you go, oh my God, So it's setting people up for, and it's not just football. They're going to come through disappointments, work, education. Smile.
Yeah. Well, finally, we've got one last question here. Just, have you got a message that you want to give to the Farsley Celtic supporters listening at home?
Yeah, I wish you could be there, but I totally understand you not being there. It's been a rough ride, but for me, it's a long-term plan. That's what I've set out with the board. And for me, I'm going to plan like everything's okay. And I've already made phone calls for next season and planning in 2 different divisions, just because that's what I'm used to when I've been there. So for me, it's very much stick with the process, stick with these lads who are giving everything that they can. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Give me everything. I'll give you everything from me. And a lot of fans have said, look, we cannot fault the efforts of these young lads. And that's what they're doing. They're playing for the club.
Thanks a lot to David for coming on, because it's a big step towards the openness that the board is striving towards, giving the fans. And thanks to Luke, of course, and we'll see you next time.
Away from the Citadel podcast, hosted by Charlie Fawcett and Luke Helliwell.